Hi there YouTube, this is Vargas XX78 with another Vargas Reviews. Just wanted to share with you guys my thoughts on a movie that I just went to see with my girlfriend. We went to the premiere here in Mexico of The Wolverine. There's our two ticket stubs. Or as it's called here in Mexico, they give a different title here. It's called Wolverine Immortal, which I really like that title too. But this is the new Wolverine movie starring Hugh Jackman, and I've really been looking forward to this movie ever since I heard that it was going to be about Wolverine's adventure in Japan. I like that story arc. The idea of Wolverine traveling to Japan is really awesome to me because, number one, big fan of the character. Number two, love the country of Japan. So, and I like that Wolverine's like this samurai that wants to find his way and leave the beast behind. So, that whole storyline is one of my favorite storylines in the Wolverine saga. So I'm really excited that they were going to do this. I wasn't really sure where it was going to fit in. If it was going to continue the X-Men storyline or continue the events in Wolverine Origins, or if it was going to be an in-between X-Men First Class. But not only does it follow the Japan saga, but it also follows the events in Wolverine 3. X-Men 3. The Last Stand. It's a couple of years after that movie, after Wolverine kills Jean Grey, after she became the Phoenix, and he's being haunted by the ghost of Jean, and he basically becomes a bum, living in a cave somewhere in Canada. So it does follow that, and I know that might cause some mixed reactions because not a lot of people liked the third movie. While it's not one of my favorite ones, I did at least enjoy the third one, so it didn't bother me that much that followed the events in that one. But Wolverine's living in that cave, and he gets contacted by Yukio, who you might know if you read the Wolverine comic books, is this like ninja assassin, and he gets brought to Japan because Wolverine during the Second World War was stuck in Japan, and he saves the life out of this soldier before the atomic bomb hit and struck Japan. So that guy's dying of old age, and he wants Wolverine to visit him, and he goes to Japan. That guy, I don't remember him being given a name, but he goes by Yoshida, who in the Wolverine saga, the Japan saga, is the name of the clan that the Silver Samurai and Mariko are part of, the Yoshida clan. Also Shingen is also there. So this guy has a son who's Shingen, who in turn had Mariko. So they do deviate a little bit from the comic book story. They adapted everyone. The characters are kind of the same. Yukio, instead of being an independent assassin, lives in the Yoshida compound, and she's the friend of Mariko. Harada, who was the Silver Samurai in the comic books, is relegated to being more like a bodyguard or a protector. And Shingen is not part of the Yakuza crime family. He kind of wants to steer that way, but he's being stopped by the old Yoshida guy. Who else appears? Viper, an old Hydra villain. She had some stuff to do with Wolverine a couple of years ago. Is also in the storyline. So they are very based on the Japan saga. So again, a few changes here and there. But basically, what happens is that the old guy is dying, and he doesn't want to die. He's built an empire with the Yoshida company. And he doesn't want to die. He offers Wolverine a chance to give Wolverine a means to die off and then give his healing powers to the old guy. But Wolverine's like, no, you don't want what I got. And he turns the old guy down, and the old guy ends up dying. But Viper does something to Wolverine that she takes away his healing factor. So also the Yakuza go after Mariko because the old guy was going to leave the company to Mariko. And not really think I'm spoiling anything because that that happens in the comic books. I'll try not to spoil anything because this is the premiere of the Wolverine movie, so a lot of people. Well, I don't know when I'm going to post this, so you might have already seen it, but I'll try to not spoil that much. Anyway, Wolverine has to deal with the Yakuza and the scheming of Viper, all without his healing factor. So that puts Wolverine in a very interesting position because throughout the X-Men movies, Wolverine's been this unstoppable guy, and as he is, very few things can take down Wolverine. So at least in the movies, he has to deal with not having his healing factor. So that's a big thing that happens to him in the movie, that he doesn't have his healing factor. So he gets tired a lot faster. He's not used to being shot and cut up, and he's bleeding and everything. He's not used to going to see a doctor to take care of bullet wounds and everything. So that's a very interesting look at Wolverine that hasn't been done in the movies. It's been done in the comic books. Wolverine has lost his healing factor a couple of times, most notably when Magneto ripped out his adamantium. That's when Wolverine's healing factor was really shot. So the character has gone through that, but it's interesting to look at it in the movies. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. A lot of people complain that he's too tall, and yeah, he is too tall to be Wolverine, but my respects go out to Hugh Jackman. He does an amazing Wolverine. He really gets into the character, and it's hard to believe that he's been doing the character for 10 years already. This has been his sixth movie, if you count First Class, that cameo in First Class, but this is his sixth movie doing Wolverine. The three X-Men movies, Wolverine Origins, The Wolverine, and again First Class. So he's had a lot of time to get familiar with the character and really get into his shoes, and he does an amazing work on Wolverine, and just really the way he handles the not having a healing factor, and how he does think that he could live a normal life. Because he's still being haunted by the ghost of Jean, and he wants to die to be with Jean Grey until he meets Mariko, and then he doesn't want to do that anymore. So it's a very interesting look at Wolverine. And again, it's set in Japan, so you have all the elements of Japan and its culture, and how Wolverine tries to integrate himself into that. And story-wise, I really liked it. The one thing I really liked about this one, and my one gripe with Wolverine Origins, is that in Wolverine Origins, they use these really fake-looking claws. In X-Men 1, 2, and even 3, they had like actual set claws. And in Wolverine Origins, they had these really fake-looking CG claws that I really didn't like that. I thought that looked really bad. That's my only complaint. Well, that's what they did with Deadpool, but that's my main complaint with Wolverine Origins. And in this one, they do seem to go back to the prop claws, because they look real. They don't look fake or anything. It's not a special effects written movie. It does have some effects, but it's not too much. There were two shows, one in 3D, and the one we went to see is in normal 2D. I didn't really think that the movie needed 3D, so if you get to see it in 3D, I guess that's okay. But I wouldn't spend the extra money on it. There's nothing there that would scream 3D. Like in Pacific Rim, the 3D on that looked amazing, and it looked like it was made for 3D. The Wolverine doesn't really. It didn't seem like it merited watching it in 3D. So I wouldn't watch it in 3D. All the characters are really cool. They made Yukio a mutant. That's one of the variations from the comic book. They made her a mutant that could see the future, but only see the death of certain people. Like she saw the death of family, her family, which is why in this movie she became an orphan. And she's able to see the death of Wolverine according to her. So that's one of the changes that they did. But she was still a pretty good badass. Mariko's also in this movie, and she's very, very faithful to her character interpretation in the comic books. So there's that. Sinjin, he wasn't as a badass as he was in the comic book, but he was still a menacing presence there. So there's that. The only character that they didn't really give props to was the Silver Samurai, Harada Yoshida. He was part of the Yoshida clan in the comic books, and in this one, again, he's relegated to a bodyguard status. He's there just to try to protect Mariko. So that character got the short end of the stick, but even he had some really cool moments in the movie, even though you never see him in the Silver Samurai costume. Viper, also very menacing. She's also a mutant in this. She can intoxicate people with venom, and she has this like reptilian quality to her. So she is a little different. She doesn't have the green hair like in the comic book. She just has the green costume. But she was okay in this as far as villains go. She was interesting. The new character that they introduced is I don't really remember, and I just got out of watching the movie, but I don't remember if they gave him a proper name. They just called it by his last name, but it's the Yoshida guy who gets Wolverine to Japan, and he offered him to transfer his healing factor. He's not in the comic books as far as I know. I don't think they've ever mentioned him proper. So this is a new character that they introduce here, and yeah, I'm gonna go into spoiler for the next 2 minutes, because it does. He is the cause of the only complaint I have about this movie. So I'm gonna make okay. I'm gonna start spoilers now. The old guy wants to take Wolverine's healing factor away and transfer it to him. It's not as easy as it seems, because his plan is that he's going to drill into Wolverine's bones to somehow remove the marrow, and that way make the transfer. And the way that he goes about doing that is that he builds a giant mech suit built out of adamantium. The whole damn thing's made out of adamantium, and it's similar. It's an interesting cross between the Shiba android from the Wolverine comic books, who was constructed by Weapon X, and the Silver Samurai costume. So it's this weird amalgam of both of those characters. So the old guy's inside the suit, and he has this plan. And my only complaint with the movie is he has this sword that he like superheats. And Wolverine's like, oh, I'm going to block the sword with my claws. And then the sword just chops off Wolverine's adamantium claws. And I'm like, what the hell? They took away the one thing that made Wolverine in the movies awesome, and was the adamantium claws. And they just cut the damn things off. And I'm like, what? And then he does the same with the other hand, and so Wolverine's, he has like little adamantium stubs here, and then the guy's drilling the marrow from it, and that's Wolverine's dying and everything, and but then he gets saved by Mariko, Harada, and Yukio, and then he pops out the bone claws, and I'm like, no, why the hell did you take away the adamantium claws? I've never been a fan of the bone claws. They did this again when Magneto ripped out the adamantium. They introduced the bone claws. In Wolverine Origins, they had the bone claws, but I'm not a fan of the bone claws. I like the Wolverine with the adamantium blades and everything, and that's my only complaint with the movie, that they took away the adamantium claws and they left him with those freaking bone claws. But the synopsis for the movie before we went in does say that this is going to change Wolverine for the future in a way that no one's going to see it coming. And I didn't see it. I thought maybe they would limit his healing factor in some way, but I did had no idea that they were going to take off the adamantium claws, and that's really my only complaint with the movie, that they did that. It's a risky move. It's like when Iron Man removed the arc generator. It's a big change to the character, and it's a risky move. It might blow up in their faces, but I thought that was a thing that I didn't like, but I also have to respect that they went that way and actually took a risk with the character that way. So, spoiler, stop that here. And, well, no, really good movie. It was really fun. Again, everyone involved was cool, but if you, well, like in most of the Marvel movies, you have to stay after the first credit run, because something really big happens after the first credit run. You know, Marvel has this thing where they started putting little nitbits of sequel bait. And this, the Wolverine has a huge sequel bait. Literally, me and my girlfriend, after that little segment that happens, the whole movie theater started clapping, because, yeah. And then the fanboy in me was like, oh, yeah. This is going to be awesome. The sequel movie, it looks like it's going to be really, really cool. So, yeah, you definitely stay after that first credit crawl, because that sequel bait is amazing. It doesn't make any sense in the context of what happened in X-Men 3: The Last Stand, but it was awesome. Definitely stay after that first credit crawl, because that moment was pretty cool, and it sets up something amazing for the X-Men franchise. But that's my thought on the Wolverine, or Wolverine Immortal, as it was called here in Mexico. Really good movie, a really fun movie. If you're a purist or a big fan of the Japan saga, there's a few things that they changed that you might not like, but I'm a huge fan of that saga, and I was okay with the changes, except that one gripe that I have that I didn't like. But everything else in the movie was pretty cool. The acting was pretty cool. The special effects were pretty awesome, even though it's not that type of movie. It doesn't have any special effects, any big special effects to speak of. But yeah, if I had to give it a score, which I usually do in these movies, I would give it a solid 9.85. Just because of that one little detail that I didn't enjoy. But I would definitely recommend the movie. I haven't checked any of the websites to see if anyone else has been... if there's a movie that I'm really looking forward to, I don't investigate or see other reviews on it. So I don't know what other people think about this. But I hope that the movie does very well. Because after, again, that sequel bait, I really hope they make another one. And... yeah, it's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. So I hope the Wolverine does pretty good, because it's a good movie. Again, I haven't even checked Rotten Tomatoes to see what score it has right now, but it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. It's not 100% faithful to the Japan saga, but it still uses the characters in interesting ways. So I would definitely recommend watching the Wolverine. So. Yeah, those were my 2 cents on this really cool X-Men movie. Like always, please leave a comment if you went to see it and thought it sucked. Let me know if you enjoyed it, and also let me know anything. I really want to hear some feedback from you guys, or I'll just maybe just watch. You know, if someone out there posts a video on the Wolverine, I'll watch that, and that way I can get some idea of what other people thought about it. But yeah, just wanted to share my 2 cents on the Wolverine, and hope you enjoyed the video. I'm running on 20 minutes right now. I don't want to make these videos too long, but somehow I always end up doing that. But to anyone that watched the whole thing, I thank so much for watching, and until I see you all again, this is Vargas XX78 signing out.